Alright, today we'll be taking a look at the Neca Ultimate Pamela Voorhees. And I'm going to try to do this in one shot, so let's give it a shot. Okay, so starting off, Pamela for height goes about 6.5 inches, so she's a little bit on the smaller side for Neca, which I think is fitting personally, but she's a little bit taller than the average Marvel Legends. So let's start off with articulation. Pamela has single jointed elbows that go a little bit past 90 degrees, which is not too bad, but I still would have preferred a double jointed elbow. Arms go about this far up in a T-pose. And honestly, I think this is a really weird look right here. They should have, in my opinion, sculpted the under part of the sweater here. I think even though it would have stood out a little bit more, even this would have been okay, or maybe broaden the shoulders just a little bit to give her just at least some underarms, because I think this silhouette looks really, really strange. But yeah, her arms go all the way down like this. They go 360 degrees, which is pretty good. And when it comes to her head, she's able to, of course, turn her head 360 degrees around. She's able to tilt her head a little bit, but it's not the best I've seen from NECA. And it could be worse, but in my opinion, they could have done a lot better on the ball joint to make it go up more and also tilt to the side more. But she's able to look down just a little bit. And also, I believe her neck is also on a ball hinge or a ball point on the bottom, so her neck is able to move a little bit more than the average figure. And when it comes to her waist, I believe she may have chest articulation, but it is hindered because of the sweater here, where she's able to bend about this much forward, which isn't too much, all things considered, and about this far back, which is a lot better than I thought, actually. And of course, she's able to turn all the way around as well. And then when it comes to her waist, she's able to do a near perfect T-pose, or near perfect split. One thing is that the knife sheath here, or knife sheath kind of interrupts the area here, but to be fair, she's not really meant to do that, but if you want her in those positions, you can. And she can kick up pretty decently as well. Not too bad. And of course, her knees are also single jointed, which is about 90 degrees, which is okay, but I still would have preferred double jointed knees. And then, of course, her feet go down about this much and kick up about this much. And also, they are on ankle pivots. And overall, when it comes to sculpt, I think Pamela has really good sculpt. NECA is known for the really good sculpts, and they knocked it out of the park again. Because the sweater everywhere has good sculpt on it. The pants has decent sculpting as well. They even sculpted print onto the boots. I think that looks pretty cool. They even show like the pleats on the sides of the pants here. I don't know if it's called pleats. I think that's what it's called. And they even sculpted the back of the sweater as well, which I really like. All right, so let's take a look at accessories and head sculpts. So let's start off with head sculpts. This might be my favorite head sculpt. Honestly, I don't think it looks exactly like Betsy Palmer, the actor for Pamela Voorhees in the first Friday the 13th movie, but I do think they did pretty damn good on it. And I really like her smiling look here. It kind of has a scary look to it, which I think is very fitting for Pamela. You know, I think especially the almost twitching eye on the right hand or her left here adds just to that freaky looking nature to it. So I really enjoy that. And when it comes to the other head sculpts, let's start off with this one here. This one is a little bit more of a stern look. She looks like she's looking off to the side a little bit. I'd say this is one of her freakier faces. And I think this one looks a lot more like Betsy Palmer when she's going into her crazy, crazy Mama Voorhees mode. Next head sculpt right here. This one's even more maniacal one. And I think this one as well also looks a lot like Betsy Palmer. And although I did say that the smiling one might be my favorite, I do think this one is probably my second favorite, if not tied for my first favorite, just because of how maniacal she looks here. You can see her eyes are open really wide, and she's got her really scary looking teeth. And then for the very last head sculpt, we have a yelling head sculpt, which I think doesn't really look like Betsy Palmer, but I am glad that we have this because it just adds for more display options. And man, look at those teeth. Overall, it looks pretty good for sculpt. And then moving on to the rest of her accessories, she comes with a bow, which is a little bit hard to see, but there you go. They sculpted it pretty good, and it's painted pretty decently, and even comes with a real string, which you can draw back a little bit, which is kind of cool. And she even comes with 3 arrows, Three of them look identical here. Although these are just two, there comes three total. If the camera will focus, come on now. There you go. But they're basically identical. They're just long pointed arrows. Put one down and just take a look at this one here. Take a look at this one here. At the very end, there's the little prong tip there. And also even I don't know what these parts of the arrows are called, but they're also colored with red, blue, and green. So that's pretty cool. And she comes with this additional arrow with more of an arrowhead point. And honestly, at first, I didn't understand why she came with four arrows, obviously, for extra display options. But I didn't really know why she only came with this one. But then I remembered that when Jack, the character that Kevin Bacon plays in Friday the 13th, dies, he dies from, I believe, an arrow that has an arrowhead like this. So I think that's what this is meant to be. The bad part is Pamela can't really hold it. And we'll jump into that when I talk about the hand accessories. But let's continue on with weapons. So with weapons and other accessories, she comes with a broken canoe paddle, which I think is a really cool option. I would have never expected them to put this for a Pamela Friday the 13th figure. So honestly, pretty creative with it, and I think they did a really good job. I think it looks pretty good. And of course, she also comes with her machete as well. What's a Friday the 13th figure or a Jason figure in general? Well, Pamela in this case without a machete. Honestly, they did a really good job. There's a little bit of dry brushing on it to add it a little bit more wear and tear detail, but overall looks pretty good. She also comes with an axe here that looks like it has some dried blood on it, which I think looks pretty cool too. I think the axe is pretty small, but it's not too bad, all things considered. And I never noticed these black detailings on it before. I'm not sure if it was like that in the movie, but I think it's a unique touch. And of course, Pamela also comes with her little knife here. And it has some engraving on it on the handle. And it has a silver, I would say tang, or at least like silver part at the very like butt of the knife. But that looks pretty cool. And also, since we're on the knife, it does go into her sheath right here. Blade pointed down. And it sits in there pretty good. And honestly, I might just have her displayed with this, just having the knife in the sheath, because she looks pretty good like this too. Or maybe even holding the knife. Oh yeah, and also when it comes to holding the knife, she comes with multiple pairs of hands. These hands I have her on right now are the C gripping hands. Right there. They're meant to hold the other items like the bow and arrow, and of course hold the knife as well. We'll put the knife in her right hand, the blade facing the quote unquote correct way for slashing. If it'll go, alrighty. And there you go, you have Pamela with her knife. Honestly, I think she looks pretty good like this too, holding the knife. Looks pretty scary, has that smile on like she's about to kill someone with it. So yeah, the knife looks pretty good overall. But she also comes with additional pairs of hands, and I will get to that right now. So she comes with this hand that goes on her right hand here. This hand is meant for, I think, pulling the drawstring on the bow. Bring back the bow here. And I believe it would go something like this, with her kind of grabbing it like that. And of course the arrow too. And speaking of the arrow, let's go back to that quickly. It does have the little pronged piece right here. If it'll focus. Come on. It has a little pronged piece there that will go into the string of the bow. Like that. So you can kind of get the bow into a, silhouette that's being drawn, which I think is pretty cool. She also comes with a pair of relaxed hands here. And these are the hands that were given to her straight out of the box. But I chose to use the gripping hands just because I think it's more useful. For the left hand here, I never noticed too that Pamela actually wears a ring, so I think that's pretty cool. That's a neat detail that I hadn't noticed before. I did go back and watch scenes, and she does have a ring on. But I ran into one slight issue, and it's this hand right here for the right hand. And the main issue was that when I tried to bend it, I didn't even put that much pressure on it, but it did kind of snap a little bit. I had to heat it up and do a little bit of figure surgery on it. And honestly, it's not too much of a deal breaker because I don't think I'll be using this hand as much. Come on, camera focus. I don't think I'll be using this hand as much, but you can see there, right in between, that part did snap for the hinge that hooks onto the internal piece. But like I was saying earlier, it's not a huge deal breaker, but I'm not sure if I'll return this figure because of that now. And it can still hinge. It hinges a lot more smoothly now, but I do think that if I were to put it back in the hand, it would get stuck and I'd probably have to heat it up and take it out again. So who knows? I might or might not return this figure. And of course, she also comes with her last hand here, which is a very tight gripping hand that I believe is meant to hold this arrow here, or at least one of these arrows. This is the third one. And she holds it pretty snugly in there. And you just take it out like this. There. And there you go. That's the hole for her to hold the arrow in. And additionally, she can also hold part of the canoe piece, the canoe paddle, like this. Honestly, I'm not really sure if it's meant to do this, but if you want, you can have her hold that. But I'd prefer to just have her hold the arrow. And sadly, when it comes to the pointed arrow here too, none of the hands really grip it well. Arguably, you could put it into the other hand here, but you kind of have to shimmy it a little bit because it doesn't grip all the way. And yeah, it's a pretty loose grab, so you can't do too much with it. But I guess if you could get it between the fingers, maybe, but it's just not going to work as well. And it sounds like airplanes flying by. Well, hopefully that doesn't sound too bad in the audio since I'm trying to get this down in one go. But let's move on to size comparisons. So, just for quick size comparisons, yeah, Pamela right next to her baby boy Jason, Part 7 Jason, probably my favorite Jason in my collection. But we also have Part 4, the final chapter Jason. And let's make some room for my third Jason figure, Friday the 13th Part 3 Jason. But yeah, this is how she looks right next to all her Jasons, or yeah, every single one of them that I have in my collection anyways, which is only 3. But let's see, let's move on to some more size comparisons for what I have nearby. I have this McFarlane Two-Face right here. Looks like the Jasons want to make a little side appearance. But for McFarlane scale, she scales pretty decently as a shorter woman. But since McFarlane is in like 7-inch scale, then it is a little better than Marvel Legends. Speaking of Marvel Legends, we have Luke Cage right here. And she does scale a little shorter, which is not too bad, all things considered. And alongside Luke Cage, we also have Iron Fist. You know what? Let's move Two-Face out of the way for this one. We have Iron Fist here. And you could tell that Iron Fist is a little shorter than Pamela, which I think is a little weird, but I don't really know what Betsy Palmer's height was. Probably, all things considered, not that tall. And just for another comparison, here's my custom Yelena Belova. And yeah, you can see this is where the height really changes because she looks really, really off. And you know what? Screw it. Let's throw in Deadpool. This is the Deadpool from, I think, the Deadpool and Negasonic Teenage Warhead 2-pack. If he'll stand. Come on, Deadpool. Alrighty. But yeah, all in all, the height comparison when it's in McFarlane style or NECA style, it is okay. But compared to Marvel Legends, she's a little bit on the tall side. So yeah, all in all, I don't think that this figure is I don't think this figure is bad in any sort. I really like it. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I think it's tough, but I might have to give this figure a 9 out of 10, honestly. There's only a couple things I wish this figure would have came with. And one of them would have been a decapitated head or like a different screaming head for Pamela, because we do have this screaming head here, which I do think looks good, but I wish we had a shocked screaming expression and also a decapitated head, so that way you could recreate the scene of her getting her head chopped off by Alice. I think that would have been a really cool accessory. Or even like a little Swamp Boy Jason accessory, like the retro cloth figure came with. I think that would have been really cool. But all in all, this figure is near perfect. I have a couple nitpicks with it, and honestly, I don't know if I'll return it because of that kind of small broken hand piece. But yeah, I would highly recommend this figure, especially if you're a Friday the 13th fan, because honestly, I don't know if we'll ever get a Pamela Voorhees figure ever again. And I think NECA knocked it out of the park with this one. But with that said, I've been Figuristic Productions. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you feel like. And hopefully this video wasn't too much of a mess because I tried to do it in one shot. And I'll see you all in the next one.